What if the therapist who heals everyone finally admits he's gay? Dr. Finley Reed stood behind the oak podium in the packed grand ballroom of the Chicago Marriott, sweat beading under his crisp white collar even though the air conditioning hummed at full blast. 300 mental health professionals from across the states stared back at him, notebooks open, phones recording. The topic on the banner behind him read, "Living Authenticity, when the healer must heal first." Finley had rehearsed this keynote for weeks, every slide perfect, every statistic cited. Yet when the Q&A began and a young social worker from Boston asked, Dr. Reed, how do you stay genuine with clients when society still punishes honesty about identity? The room went still. Finley's mouth opened, closed. Then the words tumbled out like they had been waiting 15 years to breathe. Because I am gay, and I've hidden it my entire career. Gasps rippled outward. A few phones clattered to the carpet. Then applause started, slow at first, then thunderous. Finley's knees nearly buckled. His assistant, Maya, rushed forward whispering, Finley, your calendar just lit up. 6 months solid, every slot. By the time security escorted him through the side exit, his inbox had already crashed twice. Outside on Michigan Avenue, the wind off Lake Michigan slapped his face, cold and real. He had done it. The secret that had kept him awake since college, the one he buried under diplomas and awards, was now public. And America was watching. Back at his brownstone office in Lincoln Park that same evening, the phone never stopped. Reporters from The Advocate, CNN health segments, even a morning show producer in New York. Finley sat on the leather couch, tie loosened, staring at the framed degrees on the wall that suddenly felt like lies. He had built this practice helping queer clients come out while staying locked in his own closet. The irony tasted metallic. A soft knock at the door made him jump. Jasper Kane stepped inside, carrying 2 coffees from the corner cafe, his leather jacket still damp from the rain that had started. Jasper had been a client 2 years ago, referred for anxiety after losing his partner to cancer. Sessions ended, but friendship quietly grew through late-night texts and weekend hikes along the lakefront. I saw the live stream, Jasper said quietly, setting the cups down. His green eyes held no judgment, only steady warmth. You okay? Finley laughed, a broken sound. I just tanked my reputation or launched it. I can't tell yet. Jasper sat beside him, shoulder brushing his. You didn't tank anything. You finally stood up. That's the man I've always seen. For the first time in years, Finley felt the knot in his chest loosen a fraction. But outside, his conservative parents in rural Indiana were already calling, and the messages from old fraternity brothers ranged from, proud of you, bro, to silence that screamed louder. The night stretched long, filled with what-ifs and the strange new hum of his fully booked calendar. The next morning, Finley woke to 300 new consultation requests and a headline in the Chicago Tribune. Respected therapist comes out live, practice explodes overnight. He stared at his reflection while shaving, the same face he had hidden behind polite smiles at family reunions and charity galas. Growing up in a small Indiana town where the only acceptable future was wife, kids, country club, Finley learned early that excellence could mask truth. Medical school, residency, private practice, all armor. Now the armor lay in pieces on the ballroom floor. His mother's voicemail played on repeat. Finley James Reed, call us right now. Your father is beside himself. He couldn't yet. Instead, he drove to his office where Maya had hired 2 extra receptionists who were already fielding calls from as far as Seattle. Dr. Reed, we have a waiting list into next spring, she beamed. Success tasted bittersweet. Jasper met him for lunch at a quiet Italian place on Clark Street. Over pasta, Jasper shared his own story, losing his husband, the years of therapy with Finley that taught him grief could coexist with hope. You helped me when I thought I'd never smile again, Jasper said, fingers brushing Finley's across the tablecloth. Now let me help you. Finley felt the pull, the same one he had ignored during sessions to keep boundaries clean. After lunch, they walked the 606 trail, autumn leaves crunching underfoot. Jasper talked about his job as a high school counselor in the suburbs, the kids he fought for every day. Finley confessed how he once canceled a date because a colleague might see, how he had ghosted a kind man in Boston after 2 perfect weeks because fear won. Jasper listened without fixing, just presence. That evening back home, Finley finally dialed his parents. His father's voice cracked. "We raised you right. This isn't you." The call ended in tears on both ends. Finley sat on the floor, phone still in hand, when Jasper texted a simple photo of the Chicago skyline at dusk with the words, "You're not alone anymore." For the first time, the apartment didn't feel empty. Yet cracks appeared quickly. An old mentor emailed urging him to clarify the statement, hinting at lost speaking gigs. A prominent Christian counseling group canceled their referral contract. Finley felt the ground shift under the very career he had sacrificed his truth to build. He spent the weekend reorganizing files, reading grateful emails from former clients who now felt safer, and wondering if the price was worth the freedom. Jasper stopped by Sunday with groceries and made chicken soup like it was the most natural thing in the world. They watched an old movie, shoulders touching on the couch, and Finley realized the scariest part wasn't the public eye. It was how much he wanted Jasper closer. By week 3, the media storm had settled into a steady rain of podcast invites and magazine profiles. Finley appeared on The Queer Mind, where the host called him the accidental face of late-blooming courage. His bank account swelled from new premium clients who flew in just to see the famous Dr. Reed. Yet inside, doubt gnawed. At a fundraising dinner for a local LGBTQ youth center, a former colleague cornered him near the bar. "You used to preach boundaries, Finley. Now you're dating an ex-patient." The accusation stung because Jasper had never been anything but friend until lately. Finley defended the timeline fiercely, but the seed of shame sprouted. He drove home replaying every session with Jasper, terrified he had crossed lines he couldn't see. Jasper sensed the distance immediately. They met at the lakefront bench where they first grabbed coffee after therapy ended. "If this is too much, say it," Jasper said, wind tugging his blonde hair. "I waited 2 years because I respected you. I can wait longer." Finley's voice broke. "I'm terrified I'll ruin you the way I ruined my own peace." They sat in silence until Jasper took his hand openly, right there where joggers passed. "Then ruin me with honesty, not fear." That night they cooked together in Finley's kitchen, laughing when sauce spilled, and shared their first real kiss, soft, tentative, full of years of waiting. It felt like coming home. But betrayal waited. Finley's ex-supervisor leaked an old confidential note suggesting Finley had struggled with personal issues during residency, twisting it into clickbait. The internet split. Some called him brave, others a fraud. Clients canceled. His mother flew in unannounced, suitcase in hand, eyes red. "I need to understand, baby. Help me." Over coffee at his dining table, she listened while Finley poured out decades of hiding, school dances he skipped, the girlfriend he dated to please them, the nights he cried alone. She hugged him fiercely. "We love you. It'll take time, but we do." Progress, yet the damage to his reputation lingered. Jasper stood by, fielding hateful comments on social media so Finley wouldn't see, sacrificing his own privacy. Finley watched Jasper defend him and understood love wasn't just butterflies. It was showing up when the world threw stones. Christmas approached, and Finley decided to fly home to Indiana with Jasper beside him. The farmhouse looked the same, red barn, white porch, but the tension inside felt new. His father met them at the door, handshake firm but eyes wary. Dinner was quiet until Finley's younger sister blurted, "I always knew. I just waited for you to say it." Laughter broke the ice. Later on the porch swing under string lights, Jasper and Finley's dad talked football, while Finley helped his mom with dishes. She whispered, "He's good for you." "I see it." Yet one uncle posted on Facebook calling the visit disappointing, and Finley read it in the guest room, chest tight. Jasper found him, pulled him into a hug that smelled of pine and safety. Family isn't blood only. It's who chooses you every day. Back in Chicago, a new crisis hit. A prominent donor withdrew funding from the youth center Finley supported, citing his agenda. Finley raged, then channeled it into a free workshop for queer teens. Jasper helped organize, their partnership seamless. During the event, a 17-year-old boy stood up and said, "You gave me permission to dream bigger." Finley cried in the car afterward, Jasper driving, hand on his knee. The sacrifice felt worth it. Yet Finley still wrestled with the voice that whispered he had traded stability for chaos. One night he told Jasper, I don't know who I am without the closet, Jasper answered simply. Then let's find out together. They made plans for a quiet New Year's trip to a cabin in Wisconsin. Walks in snow, fireside talks, no phones. It felt like the first real breath in months. The cabin weekend became a turning point. Snow fell softly outside while inside Finley and Jasper cooked chili and talked until sunrise. Finley admitted he had almost proposed to a woman in med school just to fit in. Jasper shared letters he wrote to his late husband that he never sent. Vulnerability layered upon vulnerability until Finley realized the man beside him wasn't a reward for coming out. He was the reason it finally felt safe. They returned to Chicago renewed, but reality tested them again when Finley's practice received an anonymous complaint questioning his fitness to treat minors. The licensing board scheduled a review. Finley prepared meticulously, Jasper rehearsing answers with him late into the night. At the hearing, Finley spoke not as a defendant, but as the boy from Indiana who once prayed every night to be normal. The board cleared him unanimously, citing his transparency as strength. Outside the building, Jasper waited with flowers and the words, "I'm so proud I get to love you openly." That evening, Finley posted a simple photo of their joined hands with the caption, "6 months ago, I was terrified. Today I'm free." Likes poured in, but more importantly, his parents liked it first. Reconciliation deepened over weekly video calls. His father even asked Jasper about favorite baseball teams. The clinic remained booked, but Finley now turned down high-profile gigs to protect time for the life he was building. He started a support group for closeted professionals, the very circle he once needed. Jasper joined as co-facilitator, their synergy undeniable. Spring bloomed across Chicago, and Finley stood on the same stage where it all began, this time hosting the conference's closing panel on sustained authenticity. Jasper sat in the front row, smiling the smile that had carried him through every storm. Finley looked out at the audience and said, "I thought coming out would end my career. Instead, it taught me that real healing starts when we stop performing." Applause rose again, warmer this time because everyone knew the full story now. Afterward, they walked Navy Pier hand in hand, Ferris wheel lights reflecting on the lake. Finley stopped, turned to Jasper, and asked the question that had lived in his heart since that first honest day. "Will you build the rest of this life with me?" Jasper's answer was a kiss under the stars, simple and certain. They moved in together that summer, blending bookshelves and dreams. Finley's parents visited, bringing homemade pie and awkward but genuine hugs for Jasper. The practice thrived with a new associate, giving Finley room to write a book on late identity courage. Jasper's students sent cards thanking Dr. Reed's partner for the assemblies on kindness. Life wasn't perfect. There were still hard days, ignorant comments, therapy sessions of their own, but every choice now came from truth instead of fear. Personal reflection. Looking back at Finley's journey, the clearest lesson is that courage isn't loud. It's the quiet decision to stop hiding even when the cost feels unbearable. Love, whether romantic, familial, or self, grows strongest in sunlight, not shadows. If you're carrying a secret that weighs more than your dreams, remember, the moment you speak it, the world doesn't end. It often begins. Choose honesty when you're ready. Surround yourself with those who stay, and let every step forward rewrite the story fear tried to write for you. You deserve a life that fits, not one you squeeze into.